What's up guys, my name is Ace, and with this week's update, we saw quite a few changes, including adjustments to the defibrillator and adrenaline injector. I've already covered those in great detail in a video. Today, we're going to be focusing on another important change that was made here, and this is an attachment cost reduction to hollow point and synthetic ammo on most of the guns in the game. This is something that has definitely changed some of the builds that I'm using, and because of that, I actually wanted to share my new top 10 headshot builds that I've created as a result of this change, and also we've mixed some of the new attachments in there as well from previous updates. But before we get into those setups, let's talk about what exactly changed here. And the easiest way to describe this is, for most of the guns in the game, and we'll look at the exceptions here in just a little bit, hollow point ammo was generally reduced from 20 attachment points down to 15 attachment points. And synthetic ammo, in most cases, outside of the carbine category as well as the UMG-40, it was reduced from 30 points down to 20 points. So essentially you're freeing up 5 extra attachment points if you're using hollow points and 10 if you're using synthetic on most guns. Now, since this happened on most of the guns in the game, it's easier to talk about the exceptions rather than every single gun that did change. So let's go over the guns that didn't see any changes to these attachment costs. And the first group of guns from the assault rifle, carbine, SMG, and LMG category, they all have something in common. These are all the guns that are capable of dealing 50 damage the moment you put hollow point on, meaning you can get a 2-shot kill to the head in their maximum damage range when using hollow point. And as a result of that, it was deemed that they didn't need this buff to the attachment cost. So these guns include, in the assault rifle category, the AK-4D, TR-7, and NVO. For the carbines, it's the M417, the SG-553R, and the SOAR 300SC. For the SMGs, this is the SW10, and for LMGs, this is the M60, RPKM, M240L, as well as the M121A2. Now, in addition to that, when it comes to the DMR category, none of the values for hollow point or synthetic have changed on these as well. So they're all exactly the same as they were pre-patch. And then for the sidearm category, we saw no changes to these attachment costs for the revolvers, whereas all of the others did see a change to these attachment costs. So there we go, definitely a handful of exceptions there, but at the end of the day, most of the guns saw this adjustment. And so now I wanted to share 10 updated builds that I've got for you guys on the guns that I feel benefit most from these changes. This is generally based on their time to kill potential with headshots versus non-headshots. Like for some guns that already kill incredibly fast without having to mix headshots into the equation, even if they saw a buff, I just don't feel like it's really worth it to bother going for headshots when you can just insta-melt people to the body anyway. And I'd probably rather focus on attachments that just allow me to do that far more effectively. Also, keep in mind, you are going to be seeing some very similar trends here with these attachment combinations, and that's just simply due to how the attachment system works in Battlefield. Oftentimes, one attachment combination that works with one gun is going to work just as well on another gun in the game. So with all of that covered, let's start it off with the assault rifles, and the first one I wanted to share is with the B36A4. And this one is such a good build. With it, I'm using the Mini Flex Optic, the 50 milliwatt violet laser, so if we're strafing in gunfights, we maintain a lot more accuracy, and I found that can be quite helpful since this came out. For my suppressor, I've got the long suppressor on here to help a little bit with recoil, while keeping me off the radar for people that are far enough away at least. For my barrel, I'm rocking the heavy extended barrel here to reduce our spread in general, while also improving our bullet velocity. Then we've got the alloy vertical underbarrel, primarily because I had the extra attachment slots here, and this one helps with recoil without hurting our spread at all while strafing and aiming down sights. So we're really taking full advantage of that violet laser. Then for my magazine, I'm using the 30 round fast mag, and finally, we're topping it off with hollow point with that updated cost at just 15. And as I said, this is an excellent build. It's super accurate, so it's quite easy to hit those headshots in general. You now only need 2 headshots mixed in at any range to reduce the number of shots to kill, and that means up close, we're going from a 250 millisecond time to kill to the body all the way down to a 167 millisecond time to kill, which is a ridiculously fast time to kill. As for the next one, we've got an even more accurate build. This is with the SOAR 556, and I would say even before this update, this gun relies pretty heavily on either hollow point or synthetic. I personally think hollow point is enough on this gun. But with this one, I'm using a slightly higher zoom optic, the ROM 1.75. We once again have the violet laser. This time I'm using the new flash comp to help a little bit with recoil control, while ensuring we don't live spot ourselves every time we pull the trigger. Then we once again have that heavy extended barrel on here. We're using the alloy vertical for our underbarrel. We've got the 36 round mag, and then once again, we are topping this off with hollow point. And this one is really nice as well. It's super overkill in the accuracy department. Like, this is one of the most accurate builds you can create in the entire game for a full auto gun. And you can now kill much more competitively with those headshots with hollow point. So definitely a great contender if you're actively going for headshots. And then for our next setup, this is on the next most accurate assault rifle in the game, the L85A3. And with this, of course, it's a very similar attachment combination. The difference, though, is we're using the lightened suppressor on this. We dropped that alloy underbarrel, and I instead went with a 40-round mag. So this behaves almost like an LMG, and it's really good for just sitting back and locking down lanes, while making sure you mix those headshots in so your time to kill is actually going to be competitive, because without headshots, your time to kill isn't great with this gun. Now after that, let's get into the carbine category, and the AK-205 is a gun that also relies pretty heavily on headshots in order to get a more reasonable time to kill potential. But thankfully, it's also an insanely accurate gun, which makes it a lot easier to hit headshots. However, a thing I wanted to point out is with this gun, as well as the next gun we talk about, the QBZ, synthetic ammo, instead of going from 30 attachment costs down to 20, it just went down to 25. So we're only saving 5 attachment points with synthetic ammo on these. But that still changed how my build was set up here. And this is my preferred build now with the AK-205. So we've got the mini flex optic, violet laser, lightened suppressor, heavy barrel, 36-round mag, and synthetic ammo. Fairly similarly, with the QBZ, we've got the mini flex, the violet laser, the standard suppressor, since that's the only suppressor we have access to, the extended barrel, the 36-round mag, synthetic ammo, and that left us with 5 points, so I put the rail cover on there. And then after that, we have the third exception here with synthetic ammo, where once again, instead of going from 30 down to 20 attachment points, it just went down to 25. And this is with the UMG 40, and we once again have a very similar build here. Mini flex, violet laser, lightened suppressor, heavy barrel, 36-round mag, and synthetic ammo. And once again, this is just another gun that relies pretty heavily on headshots in order to get a much more competitive time to kill potential, because without headshots, the time to kill isn't great. So that synthetic ammo really makes a big difference on this. And it's the exact same story with the PW7A2. This gun is quite accurate, but it kills very slowly. In fact, it's the slowest killing SMG, at least up close. And so it really pays off to be able to reduce the number of shots to kill with those headshots, and synthetic ammo is going to be helping a lot here. And then finally for the SMG category, the SL9 is yet another gun that's accurate and benefits quite nicely from headshots. And with it, we're using a very similar attachment combination as everything else we've seen here so far. And the reason is it just straight up works. But now that we have SMGs out of the way, I wanted to share my favorite KTS 100 build. And with this, since it is an extremely accurate gun that excels at mid to longer ranges, I'm using that slightly higher zoom optic, the ROM 1.75. Then, of course, we've got the violet laser on there. That thing has just become a staple on my builds because I do like moving in gunfights, and it's nice to be able to do that. We once again have the lightened suppressor here, the heavy extended barrel, the slim hand stop, so it behaves a little bit less like an LMG when it comes to handling, the 45-round mag for a similar reason, and then finally, synthetic ammo, which is going to be helping us quite nicely with those headshots. And then finally, for the 10th build I wanted to share for you guys today, this is with the M250, this time using hollow point. And just a reminder, this gun is amazing because it has an infinite 4-shot kill range. There's no damage range drop-off, unlike every other gun in the game. And now, with hollow point on here, instead of requiring every bullet to hit the head to get a 3-shot kill, now we only need to hit 2 headshots mixed in with a body shot in order to do that, which especially at longer ranges gives us an incredibly fast time to kill potential relative to the other guns within those ranges. So this is also a very solid setup to use. And there we have it. That's just going to wrap it up for a good handful of new attachment combinations that I've created, not only because of these headshot changes, but obviously with the addition of the violet laser and the flash comp as well in 1 or 2 of those cases. And I've got to say, using these builds and actively trying to hit those heads has really been a game changer for many of these guns that otherwise struggle quite a bit with the time to kill potential. And when it comes to my overall thoughts on these adjustments to hollow point and synthetic, I'm really happy they made these changes. I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. It has opened up some more builds there, while simultaneously making headshots more powerful overall. And I think that's a good thing and an area where this game has been lacking with most of the guns in the game. Now, of course, these are just my opinions on these changes, and I'd love to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about the adjustments to hollow point and synthetic in Battlefield 6 so far? If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.